Greetings, Scrumcademy cadets. Did you read your Scrum guide or did you listen to it today? If not, make sure when this episode is over, you go read your Scrum guide or listen to it. Welcome to another exciting week of training in our elite CSI-T32 unit. I am Sergeant Grand Scrum Master Adams, and today we will be interrogating the developers, decrypting the code. After unveiling the secrets of the product owner's mind in the last episode, our focus now shifts to the developers. These are the true architects of the Scrum realm and the driving force behind the creation of the Scrum Guide and the Agile Manifesto. If you haven't caught video number 3 yet, it's a deep dive into the origins of the Agile Manifesto. Make sure you check that out. Did you read your Scrum Guide today? If not, make sure you add that to your to-do list as well. But before we dive in, let's reissue the Scrum Miranda rights for the developers, as known as the Code Conjurers. Code Conjurers, you have the right to remain agile. Anything you code can and will be tested in the court of Scrum. You have the right to pair programming. If you cannot afford a pair, a rubber duck will be appointed to you. Do you understand these rights as they have been explained to you, developers? Now, cadets, focus shifts to the Code Conjurer and their pivotal role in maintaining Scrum code integrity. This is guided by the principles in the Manifesto of Agile Software Development. The CSI-T32 headquarters is buzzing as we aim to decrypt the code and uncover more potential Scrum charges. Currently, the developers are charged with 6 counts of unmeditated Scrum dumbness, code chaos, peer programming perils, automated testing abandonment, tech time travel, line of code laxity, disaster recovery delinquency are just a few of the charges they are facing today. Yes, cadet. Did y'all hear that question? Beautiful question, cadet. The question is, are the developers a suspect or an informant in our Scrum team investigation? In this context, an informant is a valuable team member providing insights or suggestions to the product owner. They might uncover critical information that shapes the product backlog, ultimately to product delivery. In fact, I was on a stakeout last night, the reason for my hoodie and beanie. We got some intel on Scrum Dom's whereabouts last day from one of our suspects who was definitely an informant. Cadets, the developers are facing 100 years locked up behind bars, their computer screens, before the customer gets all of the value that they have been promised across the world. Continuing our complete Scrum investigation, we will be posing 6 key questions to unveil the truth about the developer's role, their responsibilities, and their involvement in this customer complaint worldwide. So, cadet, you already know. Grab your badges. This time, grab your rubber duckies and your detective hats. Oh, by the way, fasten your seatbelts for this one. As we dive into the developer's realm, stay tuned for more Scrum secrets, and let's continue this Scrum-tastic adventure to apprehend the notorious Scrum Dom. Scrumcademy cadets, do you have your Scrum Detective Toolkit? Your badges, your detective hats, your magnifying glass, and your ducks. Do you have these items? Very nice. Code Conjurers. Where is the notorious Scrum Dom's hideout? Still don't know. It's okay. We got a stakeout going on right now. Right now, I'm pretty sure we're close to apprehending the notorious Scrum Dom. But meanwhile, you are here in our interrogation room, and you are charged with now 7 counts of Scrum dumbness, We have code chaos, failure to ensure the code base remains clean, maintainable, and adheres to quality standards. Peer programming perils, neglecting code reviews and peer programming, leading to collaboration breakdowns. Automated testing abandonment, insufficient code coverage by automated testing and neglecting DevOps for scaling. Tech time travel, falling behind on staying up to date with the latest technologies. Line of code laxity, lack of productivity, measured by the number of lines of code submitted in the last week. Disaster recovery delinquency, failure to plan for disaster recovery and document run books. And finally, because it's going to take you over 100 years to deliver all of the customer stated value, we are now charging you with value vanishing, delaying the delivery of promised value to the customer, contributing to a disappearing act that harms the Scrum process and customer satisfaction. Code conjurers, how do you plead? What? Did y'all hear that? Not guilty. What? You ain't delivered the customer no value in what? Over a year. What? Okay. Wow, this is going to be an interesting interrogation. Developers, how do you ensure the code base remains clean, maintainable, and adheres to the quality standards? Do you do code reviews? Peer programming? What percentage of your code is covered by automated testing? Are you using DevOps to scale? How do you stay up to date with the latest tech? How many lines of code has the team submitted in the last week? Have you planned for disaster recovery? Have you documented run books? Now that's legacy. Not guilty. I can't believe that. I was hoping they were going to say not guilty so we can go ahead on and take it to the house. I'm tired. Been up all night, staking out, not Scrum down. Here I am in the office interrogating. But okay. All right. It's about to be on. Developers, how do you ensure the code base remains clean, maintainable, and adheres to quality standards? I'm listening for some key things like something that's related to the Agile manifesto. I'm thinking continuous attention to technical excellence, that principle in the Agile manifesto. So if they don't say that principle, I'm still listening for things that might give me a clue that they are living by the Agile manifesto. During that conversation, typically I get something like consistent coding standards. Those standards are set by the organization. That's fine. I'm hoping they're going to say something about a definition of done here in this conversation. If they mention it, well, what do you think about your definition of done? Do you think it's low? Do you think it's medium? Do you think it's robust? How do you feel about your definition of done if they bring that up? Things I'm listening for is, do they have any reusable code for the type of documentation that they do, depending upon the environment in which we're in? I'm looking for a percentage on unit testing. For my current team, when I walked in the door, they had 90% unit testing. Now, one thing you need to be aware of is the higher the quality metrics are, when you get to sprint planning, the lower you're going to be able to take in. Another example, if your definition of done is high, you're probably going to be taking in lesser items at sprint planning. If your definition of done is low, then you're going to be taking in more items to sprint planning. So this number is key to me. So what if they said they were doing 50% unit testing? I can expect they're going to take more in at sprint planning. But if that happens, what I'm looking at is when they get to the sprint review is if they have a lot of bugs and defects. If they have a lot of bugs and defects, then we're going to need to increase that quality standard, assuming that it's 50. Theirs is 90. 90% is okay. And then finally, they identified ADA requirements. That is question number one. Question number two, do you do code reviews, peer programming? And in most cases, they're going to say they're doing code reviews. Not all do peer programming. Or another option could be pair programming. So I'm looking to try to get a sense of when a problem arises, is it just one person trying to solve that problem, or there's several members on the team swarming on this problem to try to get it resolved? So those are some of the things I'm listening for there. That is the reason why I'm asking question number two. Number three, what % of your code is covered by automated testing? Are you using DevOps to scale? That's a two-part question for number three. I'm personally looking for a number above 90%. when I join this team, they are always above 90%, which is great. That lets me know a couple of things. That let me know their definition of done is robust. So if I haven't even seen their definition of done as of yet, and I get this number, okay, in my mind, I'm pretty pleased with what I'm hearing so far. Now, question number 4. Developers, how do you stay up to date with the latest tech? Now, to me, this question, number 4, is the most important question of all 6 questions that I'm going to ask. Why? Because it really helps me understand, do they have a culture of learning? Are these developers always sharpening their skills? Are they trying to stay on top of their game? If not, we as a Scrum team are going to be limiting our capabilities. Remember, the Scrum Guide says we have to be cross-functional, that we have to have all the skills necessary to build or do whatever it is we're trying to do. And technology is changing so fast now, developers have to have that time to constantly be learning and upping their skills and staying on top of their game. That's vitally important. They normally tell me something like they do plural site training, they have internal team discussions, they have a designed community forum. Those are all good things, but we need more. So to me, number 4 question is the most important question. I'll repeat it because you definitely need to highlight that one. How does your Scrum team stay up to date with the latest tech? You don't have to come up with the answers. Let them come up with some answers, run an experiment and figure that out. You have to create an environment that's learning and growing. You have to create that as Scrum Masters. Number 5, how many lines of code has the team submitted in the last week? Now, I'm not so much concerned about a number. The number just doesn't mean a lot because that's only relative in the environment in which I'm working in. The fewer lines of code, the better. This is a question for me to highlight what kind of dependencies or concerns or problems they may have. And this is a disguised way for me to really identify what dependencies do you that's preventing you from writing all the code you need so that we can deliver something amazing to the customer. What's preventing that from happening? And then the last question, number 6, have you planned for disaster recovery? So at some point in time, something will happen that we cannot control. Instead of waiting until it happens and try to figure it out, why don't we break the system and learn how to fix it? Just like the question implies, okay, if a disaster happens, how long is it going to take us to recover? Now, an example of that would be like when the pandemic hit. A lot of companies wasn't set up to work remotely and work from home. Everything is shut down. Everybody got to work from home. So there's a lot of companies that wasn't prepared for that. And let's practice this so that if it does happen, that we kind of have a clue of what we're going to do. A lot of my Scrum team members across the world, it took them about 2 or 3 months before they got accesses remotely because their environment was built to go into the office and connect it. Remote wasn't an option. That's an example as to why you want to practice or think about disaster recovery. Because if something happens, it can just shut us all down. So how are we going to rebound as fast as possible to get back up in speed so that we can get back in the game, delivering customers amazing value? These charges that we're facing. Exactly. How do you document run books? If you're in an environment that has run books, how do you document that? And those are the few things that I'm looking for out of that. And there you have it. Those are the 6 questions that I ask my developers in some form or fashion. I'm going to ask those 6 questions within the first 1 month of me being on the Scrum team. Scott, how do you have this interrogation with the developers? Do you have them all in the same room? The answer would be yes. I typically have all of them in the same room. That way I can get everybody at the same time. Everybody's getting the same information. And the key thing about when you do that is you're going to have to use your facilitation skills because I'm thinking about the person that may not be talking much. So your facilitation skills are going to come into play that if you see somebody not talking much, hey, Scott, what do you think? Hey, Isaac, what do you think? Hey, Adams, what do you think? So that's where your facilitation skills come into play so that you make sure everybody's voice is heard on the team. Because if you don't do that, here's what's likely to happen. You're in an environment where you have a lead person hired by HR titles, lead developer, lead tester, lead something, and then there's everybody else. Remember, our principle of Scrum is there are no sub-teams or hierarchies. So you got to be thinking about that too as well. That's why your facilitation skills will be key when you do this group interrogation to make sure everybody's voice is heard. Well, Scott, are you going to tell us about that duck you got? No, that's your homework. Give a developer a duck. What is the correlation between a duck and a developer? That is your homework. I do another video on the duck, okay? Thank you, Scrumcademy cadets. As always, it's been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for joining us in this riveting journey through the developer's RAM, the code conjurers. We've uncovered some critical insights and shed light on the intricate world of Scrum coding for developers. But hold on to your detective hats because the adventure doesn't stop here. In our next episode, we're going to be turning our investigative lens towards the entire Scrum team. Yes, that's right. We'll be dissecting the dynamics, uncovering collaboration secrets, and maybe, just maybe, exposing the notorious Scrum Dom's hideout, depending upon how this stakeout goes. Yeah, as soon as this call over, I'm back in the streets, working on the stakeout from the intel that we got from the code conjurers. Yeah. Be sure to subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any updates from CSI-T32 headquarters. Got questions, comments, suggestions, or leads on the whereabouts of the notorious Scrum Dom? Drop them in the comments below. Your engagement is vital to cracking the case of Scrum excellence. Please refrain from attempting a citizen's arrest. Scrum Dom is armed with Scrum ignorance and possesses a significant threat. I repeat, please don't try to apprehend Scrum Dom without proper training. APSF1 certification alone? Oh, that ain't enough. Don't try that. Don't try that. You need to be at least a distinguished level. That's the skill set required to take down Scrum Dom. At least a distinguished level skill set is required to take down Scrum Dom. Keep your detective hats on, your rubber duckies on your desk, cadets, and remember, it's not just a job, it's a Scrum-tastic adventure. Stay tuned for more Grand Scrum Master secrets and get ready for the next episode of CSI-T32. As always, be agile, do Scrum, be legendary with the T32. I'm out, back in the streets, to get the notorious Scrum Dom.